I don't know if I would call Ghost of Tsushima a revolutionary title that completely changes the way open world games will be made, like Breath of the Wild, but it finds smaller aspects from the genre and tackles them in a more authentic way than most other open world titles. I think it is fair to say that the game takes some inspiration from the aforementioned Breath of the Wild and the newer Assassin's Creed titles, which doesn't make Jin's adventure feel completely fresh, but I think it does provide a few new ingredients for a genre to add to the recipe. A great setting or world is perhaps the biggest key in creating an enjoyable open world experience. If players want to explore every inch of the world that a game creates, but you know the world was very well thought out and crafted. The island of Tsushima doesn't have the most unique setting, in that it isn't exactly a world that is alien to many of us. But what it does have, though, is an art direction that very much makes every moment of exploration feel like a shot from a film or a photo. If you're a photo mode lover, you pretty much have to play this game. The approach that Sucker Punch takes with the imagery of the world would already be praiseworthy, yet the highly animated aspect of that world helps take that imagery to another level. The world is almost always moving or just active. Apparently Tsushima is the windiest place in the world. The animated environment does a great job of bringing extra life to the world, even if the world itself isn't very reactive to the player's actions. Very few moments of exploration feel stagnant, and is due to the vivid art direction and exaggerated animation of the environment. While the world might be the star of the show, Ghost of Tsushima does a few other things that I found to be a smart approach to how players approach missions and filling the map with tasks and quests. At a certain point, many open world games started to suffer from maps that were clogged with various side activities and missions that basically made the map feel very cluttered. I'm looking at you, Assassin's Creed Unity. Ghost of Tsushima doesn't have that problem. Not because it is lacking in content, because it's definitely a pretty big game, but because it naturally fills the world with activities for the player to check out. The only objectives that the game initially places on the map are main missions for focusing on the story and the key side characters you meet in that story. In order to find most of the side content, players just have to go out and explore the world. It isn't revolutionary, but it does push you to wipe away the fog over the map. I especially love, though, the way that random NPCs can tell you about something happening in the world or a rumor, and that place being placed on the map afterwards. Filling the map with icons based solely around exploration and interaction with NPCs really helps make the reasons for why Jin would be checking out a side activity feel very natural, unlike getting a bunch of quests from a single townsperson or a bulletin board. You know, that one right by that guy in that town? You know that town. You know it very well. Breath of the Wild is considered to be one of the best open world games in recent memory, and one of the best aspects of that game for me was just how open the game was to let players go wherever they wanted just from the get-go. At any time you could attempt to beat the final boss. Sure, it would be really hard to do early on, but the game still let you be able to attempt it. Ghost of Tsushima isn't on the same level of openness as Breath of the Wild, but it still is fairly open. Many of the core story and side story missions can be done in no particular order. At one point I stumbled upon Lady Masako fighting a group of enemies close to a beach. I helped her and it started one of her side missions, even though it wasn't technically the next one I was supposed to do. At times this doesn't make sense story-wise, but it is still cool to be able to do missions in any order you wish. The openness of the missions is due to the free to explore nature of Ghost of Tsushima. While various portions of the island are locked off until later acts in the game, players can still explore wherever they want. Once the prologue is over, this will occasionally lead you to areas with tougher than usual enemies, but I find that fun. The game very rarely prevents the player from taking on an activity or mission once they've come across it in the world. I don't know if Ghost of Tsushima does any one thing great. However, it does multiple smaller aspects in a very smart and enjoyable way. Smart approaches the game takes in creating an open world that feels natural to explore and very much feels alive, are cleverly implemented and help push the game from being just another solid open world title. Ghost of Tsushima shows that you don't have to reinvent the wheel to stand out. You just have to approach the way you can use it a little differently than the average person.